やけ食いか、ルビー。
うざい。
お前何食べてる？その箱か。その箱の中のものを食べたのか。吐け。今すぐ吐け。食ったもの全部。
何すんだよ、ジャックス。なんだ今の。
お前が食ったのはゴムゴムの実だ。ゴムゴムの実は悪魔の実とも言われて、食えば全身ゴム人間。そして一生泳げない体になっちまうんだ。
Hello there, welcome back to another episode of Anime with Alvin. Today, I will be making the devil fruit from one of the most famous anime of all time, One Piece. In the show, a devil fruit is a rare species of fruit that gives whoever eats it a superhuman-like power, but makes them unable to swim as a cost. I wasn't really able to find one of those when I went to the grocery store, so how about a devil fruit cake instead, using the precious Japanese crown melon. So first I'm going to start by making a simple sponge cake. In a stand mixer, I'm combining 6 whole eggs, 6 egg yolks, 300 grams of sugar, and a teaspoon of vanilla. I like to whip this until it hits that nice ribbony stage, about 5 minutes. While that ribbons are working, I'm sifting 225 grams of cake flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and half a teaspoon of kosher salt onto a sheet of parchment paper. Boop, little volcano. And then I'm combining 50 grams of unsalted butter and 120 grams of whole milk into a saucepan and melting it off camera. Once those ribbons are nice and beautiful, I'm slowly folding in our sifted flour mixture using a large spatula and trying to make sure I don't knock out those beautiful air bubbles. Once that's pretty much there, I'm pouring that heated butter and milk into a bowl and putting in about 2 cups of our finished fluffy batter. This acts as kind of a sacrifice so that when we put this back into our original batter, it won't ruin all the bubbles, because if we just put the butter in first, that would have been a little messy. Our finished sponge cake batter is now evenly divided among 2 sheet trays lined with parchment paper. I kinda eyeballed this, so one may be a little more spongier than the other. After lightly spreading the batter into the edges to make sure that we get a nice shape, these go into a preheated 375-degree convection fan oven for about 10 to 12 minutes until everybody's nice and happy. Back to our precious melon. The Japanese crown melon is a certain kind of musk melon. It's prized for its intricate netting and super juicy insides. I have a plan for this devil fruit cake, so bear with me. First, I'm going to take off the sticker. I am the melon now. Then I'm going to slice off the top, taking a moment to smell the melon and appreciate its delicate insides. Then after removing the seeds, I'm attempting to take out the inside fruit in as large of and solid of a piece as possible. Now that the fruit has been removed, I do have a plan for this to come back in later. For now, we're going to let the base and top chill on a paper towel to drain any excess juice. Good melon. For a greater selection of fun fruits, I've decided to incorporate kiwis, strawberries, and mangoes into this devil fruit cake. I'm just cutting these into thin slices, roughly maybe a 1/6 to 1/8 of an inch. I did not have a ruler with me, so results may vary. Once the fruit has been sliced thinly, I'm now moving on to making a stabilized whipped cream. I personally enjoy whipped cream instead of frosting or buttercream inside a light fruit cake, so this is how I like to make it. In a small bowl, I'm first blooming a little packet of gelatin, about 7 grams, in 80 grams of hot water, around 180. Not boiling though, because that will deactivate the gelatin. While the little buddy blooms, I'm now moving to a stand mixer and whipping up 650 grams of cold heavy cream with 50 grams of powdered sugar and a pinch of salt. Once I see soft peaks, I'm slowly pouring in that bloom gelatin from earlier. This whipped cream, stabilized. Hey look, our sponge cakes are done. So I'm going to take roughly between 4 to 6 inch pastry rings and cut as many circles as I can with varying sizes, all according to the plan. And I know there's going to be a lot of extra scraps or extra circles and extra fruit at the end of this, and because I really don't like wasting food for videos, I'm going to make a nice big snack for everybody later. Kendall found a beautiful trifle dish, so I'm laying down our cake scraps, followed by chunks of our crown melon because it was actually too juicy and soft for the preparation that we were going to do later. This is followed by our extra stabilized whipped cream that didn't fit in the pastry bag, and repeating with cake scraps brushed with any of leftover crown melon juice as a syrup, different fruit slices, stabilized whipped cream until the very top is full. I guess you could call this a fun fruit trifle. But this must go away for now as we have business to attend to. Alright, so here's my plan. I'm gonna make a fruitcake inside of this melon. So I'm gonna lay down first the smallest diameter of a cake that I cut out from earlier, followed by a nice ring of stabilized whipped cream. Then I decided our first fruit layer shall be mango. This goes down on its nice cream bed, and this is followed by another layer of a slightly larger diameter piece of cake. Brushing the cake layers with the excess melon juice will not only give it flavor, but also help it compress more. Then I'm gonna repeat with more stabilized whipped cream, this time strawberries, and cake. Now, this isn't my original idea. Making an entire fruitcake inside of a fruit is commonly found in YouTube videos that I've watched, particularly those really cool street food videos showcasing vendors just really good at their job and making a ton of these melon fruitcakes. So that's where the inspiration came from for this. Once our crown melon is filled to the brim with layers of cake, stabilized whipped cream, and various amounts of delicious fruit, it's time to wrap this up and let this set in the fridge, because it's now time to move on to the exterior of the devil fruit. Most, if not all, devil fruit have a signature S swirl on their exterior, no matter what kind of power they might give to the user. This fruit, the Gomu Gomu no Mi, can be identified by a purple spherical fruit studded with the signature S swirl pattern. And I tried really hard to think of a creative, fun, and delicious way to do this, but I only ended up with fondant. I'm first rolling out a large sheet of purple fondant to approximately 1/4 inch thick, and by using simple syrup as an adhesive to the melon itself, this will form a nice base layer for our decorations. Kinda like if Thanos went and shaved his head. Very satisfying. To achieve that swirly S pattern, I decided to make individual S's that would go and cover the entire surface of this devil fruit, which means it's a lot of work. The strategy that I found most effective was to cut thin strips of fondant, curl the front and curl the back in opposite directions to make an S. Then stick it right on the base. But doing these all by hand and going one by one took a lot of time. I ended up sitting down halfway through. Lower back problems are not something I want to have. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy I did this all one by one. It definitely looks like a fruit that you don't really want to mess with. Or do you? And for the final decoration, we're returning its nice curly stem back to the top on its head. And I present to you our version of the Gomu Gomu fruit from One Piece. All right, just gonna go outside and, is this someone's fruit? Nope, no one's around. All right, guess it's mine. To properly serve this devil fruits cake, I decided to cut it open for a nice cross section. In 3, 2, 1, ta-da! I do have to say, those layers are pretty cool. You can clearly see each layer of cake, fruit, and cream hidden inside this beautiful melon. Although I'm a little bit sad I wasn't able to actually incorporate the fruit from this crown melon into it, that'll come back in later. But to serve, I'm cutting each half into wedges and quarters. This is how I believe they're commonly served, and this is how I would serve it if I had friends coming over. Oh, this is really good. It's a really light and delicious fruit-forward cake, but the fun part is that the fact that the cake has actually absorbed not only the juice from the melon we put in, but also eating it from a melon imparts a slight, refreshing, clean melon flavor that I don't think you would get if you just put melon in it itself. This has to be eaten from the melon inside. And in about 2.6 seconds, this has now joined the Clean Melon Peel Club. But wait, we still have our trifle. Now I'm actually really excited to eat this because this has the majority of our melon fruit inside of it. There's an interesting phenomenon when you bite into the flesh of the melon and it just goes juice everywhere, but then the cake just absorbs all of that. Now that is really cool. Wait, let me just get my fork for another bite. Okay, yes, there it is. Nothing weird at all.